It's now time for the 1017 The Team High School Football Halftime Show with Austin Denton. Take it away, Austin.
And we are back here live from FM Wilson Stadium. Probably one of the longest first halves I've ever been through, but it was an eventful one nonetheless. The Sandia Matadors leading the Atrisco Heritage Jaguars 45-19 here after one half of play at Wilson Stadium. Thanks for tuning in to the New Senda Credit Union Halftime Show. I'm Austin Denton. New Senda Credit Union, now you can pay with Lobo Pride. Stop by any New Senda Credit Union branch to get your new UNM Lobos credit and debit cards. Getting your card is simple and free. Visit newsenda.org for details. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal opportunity. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first half stats for both teams. First, we'll start off with the home team in the contest, which is the Sandia Matadors, putting up 45 points on the board here in the first half. So far, it has been nothing but touchdowns on their drive sheet. Their first drive, they had a fake punt that was no good, but after that, they have scored 6 straight touchdowns and then capping it all off with the field goal on the previous drive. That's how they've gotten to 45 points. At halftime, they have 45 points on the board, 118 rushing yards, and 140 passing yards, making for 258 total yards on the game so far for the Matadors. Leading the team in rushing will be Chris Grayson. 5 carries for 57 yards for Grayson. LaShawn Joseph right behind him. Even though he hasn't played for the majority of the drives, he still has 5 carries for 50 yards in the less amount of drives that he played for. So nonetheless, LaShawn Joseph getting himself on the board for the Matadors. Wyatt Schroeder has had a few of the touchdowns. He has 4 carries for 10 yards. Junior Silva, the quarterback, has 2 carries for 4 yards. And Marquez, the quarterback, the backup quarterback, has 2 carries for 1 yard. Junior Silva, in terms of the passing, he is doing an exceptional job. Out of 12 passes, he has 140 yards. So, and the biggest one being a 52-yard pass that he had earlier on, and that was to Gabe O'Hare and Alex for that one-play touchdown that they had earlier on. So Sandia was making a name for themselves when they were getting those one-play touchdowns in off of the Atrisco turnovers. And speaking of the receiving, Deontay Bernard, 2 catches for 36 yards. Joe Barreras, 1 catch for 17 yards. Gabe O'Hare and Alex, 1 catch for 52 yards. And Carroll with 1 catch for 9 yards. Now we take a look at the Atrisco Heritage Jaguars, the adversary in this game. Hasn't been too pretty for them, but still they've made something out of their mistakes despite having 9 first half penalties. Atrisco has been able to get 19 points on the board. They have 109 rushing yards, which is not a surprise with this Atrisco Heritage team as they are known for their running game. So they have 109 rushing yards and only 22 passing yards, making for 131 total yards at the half. So that is a comparison of 258 total yards for Sandia to 131 yards for Atrisco. Majority of the drives by Atrisco have ended in punts, and when I say that, I do mean 3 of their 6 drives have ended in punts. 2 of them have ended in touchdowns. 1 of them ended in an interception. Gonzalez in the rushing statistics, he has 5 carries for 22 yards. Jesus Jimenez has 5 carries for 20 yards. Jordan Marquez has 2 carries for 3 yards, and Carlos Salazar with 11 carries for 64 yards. He is their quarterback. And speaking of Salazar, he is currently has 7 attempts for 22 yards. As we said, 22 passing yards for Atrisco. And then Zach Carmignani is leading the receiving. He has both of the catches for Atrisco Heritage, 2 carries for 22 yards. They also have 1 interception and a few turnovers as well. And all the 9 first-half penalties have really been killer. So I'm hoping Patrick Johnson, the head coach of the Jaguars, is talking about that to his team in the locker room, is that they cannot have any more penalties in the second half. When we come back, we'll recap some scores that are going on across the state of New Mexico, including that El Dorado-Las Cruces game. What's going on down at the Field of Dreams? And also we'll bring in Coach David Williams, and we'll get his first half analysis. Back in a moment on the New Senda Credit Union Halftime Show, ESPN Radio 1017, The Team.
It's now time for the 1017 The Team High School Football Halftime Show with Austin Denton. Take it away, Austin.
And we're back here live from FM Wilson Stadium. The Sandia Matadors leading the Atrisco Heritage Jaguars 45-19. The Sandia band currently on the field performing their second routine of the day. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the scores that are going on across the state of New Mexico. Everybody's been wondering what the heck is going on down at the Field of Dreams. Well, I do have an update for you. It is halftime down there in Las Cruces. The El Dorado Eagles leading the Las Cruces Bulldogs 49-28. Again, that game at halftime. Thank you to Mark Rudy of the Las Cruces Sun for getting all the scores down there as well. So it's been an interesting game down there. We will carry the Bulldogs playing the La Cueva Bears next week here on ESPN Radio 1017, The Team. In the third quarter, the Belen Eagles lead the Farmington Scorpions 26-0. That game currently, in the third quarter right now as a shutout. We're still showing that the Franklin and Cleveland games and Pine Creek and Rio Rancho, I think we believe that they are both still in a weather delay. If anybody has updates on those games out there, please tweet them to us. You can tweet me at AustinDenton_7 or our radio station Twitter at 1017 The Team. We would like to know those updates. We are still showing 14-12, the Clovis Wildcats leading the Aztec Tigers. We're also still showing the Artesia Bulldogs leading the Hobbs Eagles 16-14. Both of those games in Aztec and in Hobbs. So those are all the scores that we have for you right now as we have them on the updates. But again, please send your scores to us. Tweet at us at 1017 The Team or at AustinDenton_7. We now bring in Coach David Williams for our first half analysis. And Coach, my first impressions is that really what's been the killer for Atrisco Heritage is those 9 first-half penalties. I imagine if you're Coach Johnson right now, you're saying we have got to stop the penalties.
The penalties are certainly one of the situations, one of the factors that, that's just part of the explanation for the deficit. The biggest problem for the Jaguars is the secondary play. They're giving up just these huge, wide-open pass plays that result in just sudden change. We go from just having a possession to a touchdown, and Sandia figured it out, and they turned that their offense into a track meet, and they were scoring at will. So for the Jaguars, that's what I say. The penalties are just one more factor.
And like you had mentioned, it turned the game into a track meet. 258 total yards for Sandia in the first half, 118 of those being rushing yards, 140 of them being passing yards. So obviously they still have more passing yards than they have rushing, but it's been pretty even in terms of passing the ball. Both facets of the game have been working so far.
Sandia's got to be really pleased with what's going on offensively because their inconsistency probably cost them a victory in their opening game against Cibola. So tonight they came out, Silva throwing the ball the way that the Matador coaching staff expected him to. The speed of the running backs really a problem for the Jaguars to contain. So they've been able to basically run the ball and throw the ball anytime. Kicking teams are kickoff return.
88 yards on that.
But the defense for Sandia has really bottled up the Jaguars. Sandia elected to fake a punt on their first possession. They did not make the yard to gain for a first down. The Jaguars took over and marched down about 40-something yards and were able to get a touchdown. But other than that long drive that Atrisco had to end the first half, the Sandia defense has really been up to the challenge.
Absolutely. And now, once again, Junior Silva, he is currently 6 of 12 tonight for 140 yards for Sandia. Now, aside from this game, I want to get your thoughts on that El Dorado Las Cruces score. It's at halftime, and it is currently 49-28. It's been back and forth, but this is the type of score that we media people didn't really expect, would you say?
The El Dorado offense is really high-powered.
Absolutely.
Gabe Smith, the quarterback, really makes things go. Coach Steve Castile is the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, and he has put together an offensive scheme that is really efficient. It's simple for the kids to learn. It looks complicated. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of motion. But his quarterback just executes perfectly, and they have enough speed and receivers to put up points. El Dorado's right now they're down there leading 49-28, and I promise the coaches are in there at halftime worrying about not being able to finish the game and giving up too many points, because they have in the last few years just allowed an unbelievable amount of yardage and points. So Eagles will score. They'll score with you. But if it has to be 50-49, that's okay with them too.
That's exactly how it goes. And that's going to do it here for the New Sender Credit Union Halftime Show. I'd like to thank Coach Williams, as always, for joining us. And again, be sure to tweet your scores. We'll be updating you throughout the night on every score that we have for you. Again, tweet at us at 1017 The Team or at my Twitter at AustinDenton_7. The lightning is surrounding Wilson Stadium. It's starting to come in. Hopefully it averts our different direction and we can still continue our game, but hopefully we don't jinx anything. But as always, thanks for tuning in to the New Sender Credit Union Halftime Show. I'll see you all at postgame. ESPN Radio 1017, The Team.
You've been listening to the 1017 The Team High School Football Halftime Show with Austin Denton. The second half kickoff with Scott Galletti and Coach David Williams is next, right here on ESPN Radio 1017 The Team.
As now we will go to Austin. Go ahead.
All right, guys, let's send it down to the field now where we're going to be talking with the head coach of Sandia. It is Kevin Barker. Coach Barker, congratulations first off on the win. I first off wanted to point out to you, you guys had 258 total yards at halftime, and it has been quite the game for you guys. And Junior Silva finishes off with 181 passing yards tonight. Talk about your offense's performance. I mean, you just put all those points up on the board tonight.
Yeah, we were very pleased with that. We played LaShawn in the first quarter, but then we pulled him when we got the lead early. And Junior really had an exceptional week of practice. He got better at practice, and you saw that tonight. He played like we thought he'd play last week. So we're really encouraged by that because, normally we run the ball quite a bit, but I think we're going to be able to throw the ball this year some too.
Atrisco finished with 12 total penalties on the night. Obviously, those are a lot of mistakes that you had to capitalize on, and surely enough, you did. Talk about that and how you made sure to capitalize on the 12 penalties and the mistakes that they were making.
Well, we knew after watching their game last week that they were penalized quite a bit last week, so we knew we just had to keep playing through those, and I think we took advantage of some of those, and our kids really responded well. Defensively, we had a little trouble with their option attack, their triple option, but we made some adjustments at halftime. And then we had our JV in basically the last quarter, about 2 minutes of the third. So and they scored a couple late touchdowns on them.
And finally, tonight, you guys have a big game next week against one of the 5A powerhouses this year, that being the Los Lunas Tigers. What is your thought process heading into this game? Obviously, I know you guys want to celebrate the win tonight, but knowing that Los Lunas is next, what's going to be the keys this week to get prepared for the Tigers?
Well, that 24-hour rule goes out the window. I think we'll start preparing for the Tigers tomorrow right after we watch film. We're really excited. We went down and watched them last week, and they're a very good football team. They're huge on their defense. Their quarterback's exceptional. It's going to be a great environment. It's their homecoming. We hope we can go down there and compete well. And, they're the number one team in 5A. And so you got to step up to those challenges each week. And not to mention our district. I kept hearing that El Dorado score tonight down in Cruces, and I started sweating on the sidelines.
Well, I will tell you, it is currently 70-42, El Dorado leading Las Cruces, and Gabe Smith has 9 of El Dorado's touchdowns tonight, so they are rolling. But, Coach Barker, thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations on the win. Go celebrate it with your team. Thanks again for joining me.
Yeah, thank you, Austin. Thanks for everything you guys do for us.
Absolutely. That was Coach Kevin Barker of the Sandia Matadors joining us on the postgame show. Scott, let me throw it back to you.